Éamon Ó
agus leis ceann cuairde bhhailm bachsa ghlach leis néire teachta is teachar maidin a Connemara anseo hafad an tí bhí arm chun na léir ifigin ceann cuairle maidir le bún áardú tríocha seacht le aire as an Rion Sin. I'd like to thank the Minister for coming in here today, but I have to put it on the record to the House that I had to invoke Standing Order 37 to ensure that a Minister from the Department of Health came in to take this question today. And I think it should be routine that ministers from the relevant department would come in to take topical issues, which is happening less and less. Standing Order 37 is quite clear. It provides that if the Minister can't come in today, they have to come in the following day. It's black and white, and I want to put that in the record. As you know, Lescan Corla, Western North Connemara is a vast area stretching in the area west of Mam Cross and stretching north-south from Carn and Roundstone on one side up to Linan and Cong on the other side. It's a vast area of indented coast and mountains with a spread-out population and two offshore islands service from there, Inishbofin and Inishturk, because the Clifton Doctor services Inishturk in County Mayo as well. Now, the proposal for primary care centres in Connemara is one in Oughterard, one in Moycullen, one in Spiddle, all in the east end of Connemara. And there's no primary care, and I'll come back to that another day. And there's none proposed for Clifton. Oughterard is the nearest proposed primary care centre. It's over an hour's travel. Now, can you imagine if somebody in Cork was told they had to go to over an hour on bad roads to get to a primary care centre? It's over an hour from Ballyconneely or Cleggan. It's over 2 hours for people travelling from the islands. It's also an area of very poor public transport. Clifton District Hospital used to have a wide range of services and has an X-ray machine installed in it since the noughties. There are also good mental health services in Clifton. Now, we know that the nursing home in Clifton and Clifton Hospital are going to be amalgamated with a new CNU on the St Anne's site, and this will free up Clifton Hospital site for the provision of a primary care centre. And I don't want and I don't expect that the Minister in this department will give me the usual standard HSE speak here today. I think it's time that the Minister told him that the more dispersed populations are entitled to services. I think it's also important to note that Clifton is 80 kilometres from Galway, and parts of this region are over 100 kilometres from Galway, not talking about the challenges faced by the islanders. In relation to Inishbofin, planning was got for a new health centre there in the noughties and has never been built. That's 16 years later. We're still waiting for the promised health centre on Inishbofin. I made inquiry about Renville Health Centre, which is totally inadequate for modern practice of medicine. It needs refurbishment and upgrading, and I was told it wasn't going to happen. Connemara Health Centre is a newish health centre, was built in the noughties. It's not used by the GP, and I cannot understand why health services such as speech therapists, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, counselling services, etc., couldn't be provided from Connemara Health Centre. So I hope, Minister, that I get real answers here today, and I hope a clear statement that it's ministerial intent to direct that the areas that with the dispersed populations will be entitled to primary care within a reasonable distance of their homes.
Again, can I reassure the Deputy, I'm only in this position for the last 2 weeks. I think this is my 3rd week. I got notice of as asked to deal with this late yesterday evening, and I have no difficulty in coming into this House and dealing with any topical issue in relation to health. I know now I might be regretting saying that, but I think it is my responsibility to come in here where a topical issue is raised by a member, and I will do everything possible to make myself available to deal with them. On this, I'd like to thank you, Deputy, for giving me the opportunity to update the House on the delivery of primary care centre in Clifton and the upgrade of other HSE-owned health centres in West Connemara. An objective of the programme for government is to deliver increased levels of integrated healthcare with service delivery reorientated towards general practice primary care and community-based services to enable a home-first approach in primary care centres as they play an essential role in the delivery of that objective, and significant progress has been made in the delivery of primary care centres nationally. These centres support the delivery of integrated care by facilitating closer coordination and cooperation between health professionals across different disciplines. Primary care centres also provide a single point of access to health services and can serve a resource for the community. There are currently 174 primary care centres operational, with a further 7 currently under construction. In addition, 44 primary care centres are at earlier stages of development, 4 are currently at the advanced stage of planning, 34 at the early planning stage, and 6 HSE own primary care centres being progressed through capital plan funding. The delivery of a primary care centre in Inishbofin remains a priority for the HSE. This project has been delayed due to legal processes associated with transfer of land from Galway County Council to the Department of Rural and Community Development, and the subsequent transfer of a portion of that land from DRCD to the HSE. The HSE has advised that the legal agents for Galway County Council are progressing with this matter as swiftly as possible. Under the legal processes associated with the transfer of lands to the DRCD concludes it is not possible to provide a definitive timeframe for the transfer of the site to the HSE or the development of Inishbofin Primary Care Centre. Health centres in Galway region, including Renville, were upgraded and refurbished over the last 3 years, and this work continues. The Primary Care Centre in Moycullen opened in April 2023. Proposed centres for Oireachtas and Spittle are at expression of interest stage. Other locations in the Galway West network may be identified in the future. The Deputy may be aware that the decision to grant planning permission for the new ambulance base in Recess was recently issued by Galway County Council on 28 March. The new base will have space for 2 ambulances. A proposed primary care centre in Clifton is under review. However, the HSE is exploring the possibility of repurposing and upgrading existing HSE facilities in Clifton in order to expand the current range of services delivered by Clifton primary care team. The development of new or refurbished healthcare facilities anywhere in the country cannot be seen in isolation or separate from the delivery of related healthcare services. Projects are approved by the hospital group, then approved by the relevant HSE directorate before being submitted to the HSE National Capital and Property Steering Committee. Once approved by the NC and PSC, the project is eligible for prioritised and inclusion in the capital plan, subject to the level of funding.
So we come to Clifton near the end. 4 lines. Can you go back, Minister, and inquire from the Department to the HSE, is it intended to develop Clifton District Hospital as a full primary care centre? And I want a full primary care centre plus things like X-ray facilities and so on, because of its distance from Galway and because it's there already and has been paid for by the state. And if I could get that much out of today, I'd be making some progress. Now, I often wonder about Inishbofin because there was planning permission for a health centre. I often wonder what would have happened if it had been built. But for some reason, the HSE decided the site wasn't suitable after getting planning permission, and it went up on the airport site. And I would say to you, government, and the HSE of the last 14 years, it's just not acceptable that these things take 14 years. There was a compulsory purchase done on that site in favour of Galway County Council. And I can't for the life of me see how it has taken 14 years to sort out the Inishbofin site. It's absolutely ridiculous how long things are taking. In relation to Renville, I have visited the health centre there. It is totally inadequate. It doesn't have the rooms in it, it doesn't have the physical space in it. There seems to be a concept here that I, as somebody who grew up in Dublin and then moved to the West, can you imagine people being told that they have to travel 60 kilometres to get to a primary care centre? Can you imagine telling the people of the area of Dublin I grew up in that you had to go 60 kilometres to get to a primary care centre? But of course it's good enough for the people on the periphery. That the people from the offshore islands, how are they meant to get as far as Uachtarard? There are reasonable services from Clifton. It's at least taxiable. Tá am a ceann córdach tá nuair is spéisiate sa scialta agus tam héin nach bhfuil.
Táneart spéise ach tá mé faoi bhrú agus
agus bei tásúla freigra iontóch nach mai.
Tá mé an seo mar gcuine nódra.
I would like to thank the Deputy again for raising this issue. An objective of the programme of government is to deliver increased levels of integrated healthcare with service delivery reorientated towards general practice, primary care and community-based services to enable a home-first approach in line with Sláinte's goal of receiving the right care in the right place at the right time. The delivery of primary care centre in Inishbofin remains a priority for the HSE, so it is a priority for the HSE. This project has been delayed due to legal processes associated with the transfer of land from Galway County Council. Until these legal processes conclude, it is not possible to provide a definitive timeframe for the development of the Inishbofin Primary Care Centre. And can I just say, Deputy, I'll come back to you. Can I just say, Deputy, you know, as someone who comes from a legal background, I do understand this, but I do accept, you know, 14 years is a long time frame and it shouldn't take that long. Work continues to the provision of health centres in the Galway region. The primary care centre in Moycullen opened in April 2023. Proposed...
Go back to Clifton because
I'll give it
Moycullen and Biddle and Galway, and they're all fine.
The proposed centres for Uachtarard and Unspittle are at expression of interest stage.
Yeah, we know
the planning permission for the new ambulance base in Recess was recently issued. Other locations in the Galway West network may be identified in the future. The development of primary care centres is based on a geographical location, population density, topography and existing facilities. In order to enhance capital investment, the Department of Health are currently developing a strategic health investment framework to ensure that investments are evidence-based, equitable and ensure Sláinte care reforms are achieved with the overall objective of having better health outcomes for the population of Ireland. And I will come back to you in relation to the main issue you raised. And I will come back to you. And I do fully understand. And can I just say, Deputy, you know, I've been involved in a number of projects where we have different parties involved. In one case, I had 6 different parties, and every time I got onto one, I was given the answer that it was someone else's fault. And sometimes it does get frustrating, but I will follow it up for you. Thank you, Deputy.